All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Let's take a look at the markets, where we are, and then at a higher level, let's look at the bigger picture, monthly and weekly. I have monthly on the left side and weekly here on the right side. And then we will get into the smaller time frames. So it was a pretty big breakout here. Um, Over here, right? We had this line drawn, and above this is where it broke out, and it never even, probably it tested that for about a week, and then it never looked back, and it has been a massive rally ever since. So where do we go from here? And if you look at the RSI, obviously looks very extended, but the CCI with a higher high for the last 4 weeks, if you see, there has been lower low here on the weekly. So it's not a very big momentum that
She
is.
will come when we finish our RSM book thing. But she will come. Fine. 5 is okay?
Can you
Yeah,
please
first
go on
let's
mute
finish
if you're
our
not
homeworks, Nana. So that when she comes, you don't have to worry about homework. You can, 5 to 8. Yeah, 5 to 8 you can play. Okay, na? Dinner also she can eat here.
Okay. I muted everyone. You can unmute to ask questions later on. So over the last 4 weeks, what has really happened is there is not much of momentum. There is a big negative divergence, and this is probably a good place to book profits. I always keep saying that until you see majority of the people will book profits when it reaches the oversold levels, but wait until you see negative divergence to book some of the profits. But it depends on what you are holding. Some of the stocks that I have, some small cap names, have still not reached the levels that not even this level where it was in 2022. So small caps have a big road ahead, long road ahead, but it's the big cap names which have really resulted this rally, have caused this rally. So names like Nvidia, Meta, so those are the names, and Netflix. Probably it is good to book some profit if you have it. And let's look at NDX. And this is, I wouldn't still short it here, just to let you know, this negative divergence doesn't mean you go short. I expect some chop over here. We will chop around probably couple of weeks or even months before correcting. And I expect that to happen sometime in um, August or September, just before election. There'll be some profit taking. So generally, and just to add more details, more color to this, I was actually not expecting this kind of a rally here. I thought, and let me go to NDX actually, when I show that, I said we have almost reached the top for NDX, and we did get a dip. I had posted that on Twitter as well, my NQ levels. So we saw a dip of around 700 points, but it immediately rallied back, which makes me think that there is probably a little bit more room to go or move sideways. So the market is not ready to fall yet. Excuse me. So it's not ready to fall yet, and let us see how to play about. It's going to be a big chop from now until maybe even August, right? July, August. So we need to be a bit careful, and I would rather day trade and exit here rather than holding long. And even if I'm holding long, it should be very minimal, the overnight holdings. I don't want to hold too many things overnight at this stage. So we have to kind of adapt to what we see here in the market. And if I look at fib levels for this, look at where NDX has come to, and this is a pretty big level, 18,472. To break this and go higher, it would need a lot of momentum, and I'm not saying that it cannot happen and reach 20,000. When Dow can hit 40,000, why can't NDX hit 20,000? It's definitely possible, but we will get into the individual names. We need participation from Apple, which has been lagging severely. If Apple participates, I wouldn't be surprised if we break this 18,472 convincingly. That is one thing that you need to keep an eye on. Any questions on SPX and NDX?
So you don't want to short because divergence is RSI divergence is not strong enough.
I don't want to short yet because, see, the only thing that gives me, in terms of seasonality, just before elections is when the market generally falls. Um, and it can keep at this level for quite a long time. So there might be some chop. We have to short on a weakness. We shouldn't short just because it reached some level. And
Okay.
if you see here, it already hit this level here, maybe very close to that, and then had a dip, right? So the good move when it nears this 18,472 is already done. Does that make sense? So now we cannot short it one more
Yeah.
time here as it approaches. Let's see how we have to short on a weakness. And right now, I still don't see that weakness even after FOMC. Maybe FOMC should have caused this further down move, but that did not happen, right? So we have to take it by the day, take it by the week. Right now, as long as this 8 EMA is holding, see how it has bounced every time it has come to 8 EMA on the weekly, right? So there's no reason to just go and short here.
Got it.
Okay. I want to go to Dow Jones. And here the negative divergence is more pronounced, right? But there are still a lot of stocks in Dow which are coming back to life. Like I can think of FedEx, I can think of Nike. Let's get into those names later. I'm just stating those, which I think they both of these companies announced the result in the last week itself. So it's fairly fresh in my memory. So um, that is the reason why I'm stating there are still a lot of stocks in Dow which are coming back to life, and this can at least keep at these levels for quite a long until all the shorts give up. So this is not the place, especially with options. You will face a lot of decay if you go ahead and buy puts here. This is not the time to do it. Dow Jones, let us draw fib and see where we are. Yeah, it has, again, if you see here, let me zoom into this part. It hit the fib level. It did what it was supposed to do at major levels. And I will consider this as a level which is respected. 391, it respected that level, came back down to 80 MA. And then this was a fairly bearish candle. right? And that has been undone in the last week because of Powell's FOMC, and it has closed above this key level. So that this gives me indication that they're not the place to go on short, right? You have to be very careful. Once it closes above certain level, and this is a convincing close. If you see, it's not just closing barely above. It closed at 394.5, right? It's a convincing close above this level. So not a position to, not a place to go and short it. Let's look at IWM. And this is where I have moved all my, I had in my 401k, I have moved many of my investment from big cap and mid cap into small caps, right? And I still have some in mid cap, but I have completely taken out the money from big cap names. There is a lot more room here. And if you look at the, let me bring up squeeze. It looks really good here. Squeeze is getting ready to, monthly squeeze is getting ready to fire long, but it will take a long time, especially because the big cap names are already um, at such overbought levels. I don't expect this to just go and continue all the way. This squeeze is probably going to remain in time in this place for some more time. Maybe it will come down, chop around here, build more momentum, and then eventually fire up after elections. That is my hunch, not before elections. And even if it goes, there is a big supply zone here. All these people who had bought it here are waiting to exit, this region. This is a pretty big resistance level as well. So even if we see a move into this area until summer, and that is not very far away, right? Right now it's trading at 205. If it goes to 215 or so, it's going to bump into a huge resistance level, and it can again come back to 194. But as long as it stays above, see this is what we had drawn from our last meeting. As long as it stays above this 194 level, or I would even say this 21 EMA, which is all the way at 189, right? It is still bullish. So there is scope for you to get into this again in your investment portfolios. And this is where, think of all Katie Wood stocks, right? Let's go to that ETF.
Can you, Pradeep, can you translate this into RTU as well, just to understand the levels?
RUT.
RUT, sorry.
Sure. So on RUT, you can again draw this similar fib levels. If you do this, it can come all the way to about 1900, and it can still remain bullish. And that is probably a good place to get back in as well. Into
So
this.
right now, just about 1951 is the next support level, right?
Yeah, 1951, as long as it stays above this, it can go and test 200 and, 2200. Right, 2200 is where the next immediate resistance can come for RUT. And that can happen by summer, provided SPX and NDX also stay where they are. It can move sideways, but RUT has a lot more scope to go higher because of this momentum that's getting built up here. And if you see this region here weekly, right? This is such a big, long consolidation. So definitely if you get a chance to add, when it comes down here, you can add. This is a safe place to add more, and that is just off of the highs of this, right? Early before COVID crash. So this is a good region to add more if you get an opportunity, and target 2200 and much higher, because this monthly squeeze, eventually if everything works out, we can draw a fib from here to here, and the monthly squeeze it can easily take it to 3000 almost. That's the long-term view. Might happen in 2025 or 2026. So that is where it has a big long runway ahead. But the risk to reward looks really good in small caps compared to big caps. Let's look at gold. Or let me go to GC futures. So in GLD, I had a good trade, but I think I gave back. It shook me out when it fell below 2000. I exited and immediately it started going back up. I missed the bus here, even though I had everything in place to go long. It didn't work out, and within a week it shot up. Look at this weekly candle. It went all the way from this 100% mark to almost 127% mark because of this weekly squeeze here. And I think this dip is where it shook me out. It was getting set really well, but came down. It is what it is. I have no shame in telling that, it did not work out. Take the losses gracefully, because as long as you know that your analysis is right, over the long run, you will make money one way or the other. If not in this name, some other name. But the analysis is important. So my analysis here was this weekly looked bullish, monthly is already bullish, and maybe I entered too early. I could have waited for this point to enter, where it really shakes out everyone and then rallies. So that is kind of, you need contra thinking, think in a different way. It caused a small squeeze here, this dip. You see how the Bollinger Bands contracted, caused a small squeeze, and then it rallied. It's a perfect setup technically to go long, and that's what it did. But here, since the equity markets are rallying, you see how the weakness is in gold. So it tested this 127% and it's coming back. Doesn't mean it is bearish yet. Maybe it's going to spend some more time here because the monthly has fired long, and it should go all the way to 2300 at some point.
Pradeep, a quick question on that one. So on the weekly chart, right, that a red candle that took your stops out. So I was hoping that your stops would have been, just below the previous lows. I think 2 weeks lows. There are two candles that is touching the middle of the Bollinger Band, if I'm right.
These two. Right?
Yeah. I mean, but it did not take the other low, right? On the left.
Yeah, I did not take this low.
Yeah. So basically, thinking in hindsight, that should have been the stop, right? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
true. This could have been the stop for me in hindsight, but since I had options position, GLD trade, and I think it was expiring in 2 weeks, I didn't want to take a chance. I just booked the loss.
Okay, got it, got it. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because technically you will have the closer candles as the stop, right? And see, you have some mental thing.
Yeah,
But
I took these two stops, and it was maybe I should have gone for an in the money more deeper. I think I had 187, 197, if I'm not wrong. Let me go to GLD. And sorry, I think I had more time. It was, if I remember it properly, it was March 22nd expiration. And I had 187 and 180, 197 spread. And March 22nd, let's see where it went to. Yeah, it was deep in the money, right? March 22nd was yesterday, right? Yesterday's close was 200. So that $10 wide spread would have been completely in the money.
yeah,
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, it was this drop is what shook me out. I thought it is probably going to go all the way to this 200 EMA.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, not that, not that, not that. It was here, 187, right? Yeah, I had entered somewhere here. I think I just went with 50% loss or some threshold for my options position, and exited.
Got it.
So let's take a look at silver. I think silver it is generally a laggard compared to gold. And this you see here, it looks awesome, the way it is building up. So, but it is known for these kind of fake breakouts and then coming back again, and that is what is happening right now. So I'm still watching. It had a breakout and it closed right below this trend line, if you see. Although my trend line might not be perfect, let me draw using this one. Yeah. So it closed underneath this trend line. Still, I think it is time to watch. It is generally lags quite a bit compared to gold, and it might be some more time before it really starts going up. I would still suggest buying silver SLV ETF itself rather than futures, and you can easily shoot for this break of 28 or so in the next 1 or 2 years. Because this has been a pretty long consolidation here. It's almost like bull flag, if you see this, right? It's a big bull flag here. So having some money in moving it from big cap names to SLV is not a bad idea, and especially because it is so cheap, $22, you can easily try to own about 100 shares of SLV. Depending on your account size. So let's go to interest rates. I think we have seen a peak in the interest rate. See exactly where it got rejected and it came down. And once Fed starts cutting interest rates, I expect it to come down all the way to this lower Bollinger and even this 200 EMA on the monthly, and right near the previous top, 32. I think that is going to happen in the near future. So how to trade this idea? One is you can trade ENX as options. You can go to ZB futures or ZN 10-year treasury. So this one is like the inverse of TNX that you saw earlier, right? And this could be the target, and it can go all the way here. By the end of this year, if Powell cuts the interest rates 3 times, this can happen. And right around, if you see here, what is the level? 1900, sorry, 119. And that is where this 200 EMA is also lining up, right? I think it looks pretty good. So ZN is bullish. That means TNX is bearish. It's one and the same. So that's the way to trade this idea. But trading interest rates is not for everyone. It will take a long time for it to reach here, right? I'm talking about the next 3 to 4 FOMC meetings. And you need to be able to hold it that long and also keep rolling it. So unless you're not sure how to trade futures, don't get into this. Anything else that you guys want me to look at? Let's look at crude oil. So it has built a pretty good base here around 70, right? And last couple of weeks it rallied. I don't know for what reason, because the weekly was pretty bearish. If you see here, from the time we met last year, weekly was pretty bearish, but all that has been undone now, bearishness, and that is why it is so hard to trade. Your analysis might say that this is bearish, right? It's almost like the weekly squeeze fired. There is no squeeze here, but it's almost like it fired short. It came down, and the momentum was so low here, and now you see that it is firing long, the weekly squeeze. But now the focus should shift to monthly. The monthly squeeze is ready. But it is not going to fire long this time. It can even fire short monthly squeeze, right? Unless it goes above $90 or so. I don't expect this monthly to fire long. So it can consolidate here quite a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to 67 to take all the stops that are built here. So that is what I can concur with the monthly chart. Any questions so far on any of the things that we saw?
Hey, if CL is bearish, then NG also should be bearish.
NG is a different ball game. It's not. It is not at all following CL. And if you look at CL's monthly chart, just remember this, and then I'll go to NG and see how the monthly chart of NG is. Right? It's not at all correlated. So NG, I want to say that it has bottomed, but I don't know for how long it will last here. Right? That is why I suggested playing UNG than NG futures. So it can remain here for quite a long time. This is one of the lowest prices that we have seen. If you look at the weekly chart, this is one of the lowest prices that we have seen, right? There is a lot of potential for it to at least go back above this 21-day moving average, which is far away now at 2.24. But I would not get into futures.
So if NG stays over here, then the other ticker that you were saying, UNG, that
Mm.
should also stay down, right?
Yeah, even that should stay down. But UNG is kind of ETF, which is based on NG. So
Mm.
you can afford to hold it longer. Longer in the sense, at least for any year.
Okay.
All right. Let me now start getting into smaller time frames. Let me go to
Dollar.
a dollar. Yeah, I missed that one. This almost looks like Tesla's chart to me. It is still in a downtrend, and it would be hard for it to break this until another FOMC meeting happens. I don't think this is going to break out because the current FOMC already occurred and it did not break out of this range, and there's no squeeze either on the weekly or on the monthly. I think it is going to consolidate here for some more time, maybe between 100 to 105 range. Yeah, I don't see any trading opportunity here. Let me look at
Yeah, for that.
daily chart for this.
Huh?
Yeah, even on the daily, it doesn't look that good. It did make a big rally from here to here in the recent past, but it would be hard for it to break out of this range. No squeeze even on the daily. So nothing much to do on the dollar side, which means if there's nothing much to do on the dollar side, at least dollar is not going to impact your gold or crude oil, whatever analysis that we did for gold and crude oil and silver, those all hold true because dollar is not impacting those analysis. All right, so let us get into now smaller time frame.
Pradeep, just can you look at Bitcoin also, if you have a minute?
Sure. BTC. Been a long time since I took a look at this.
Yeah, I think a lot of money is moving to Bitcoin now.
Yeah. It's crazy the way it broke out from here. So a lot of people would have taken profits here, who were stuck in this level, who were expecting Bitcoin to hit 100,000 and $1 million. They're all saying, oh, thank God, I got an opportunity to exit. So that is the reason why we saw big dump here once it made a new high. But honestly, I'm not a fan of this. It's too volatile and hard to trade unless you're
Yeah, I agree.
scalping it for some quick money. It's very hard to trade this.
With the ETF started, I mean, is it a good assumption to think that the major players are also holding this?
It is possible, yes. If there is an ETF, it adds more authenticity, right? More money can flow into it, and people can hold it for longer time. But on what is this valued, right? That is my hardest part. For a company, you have your profit and loss statements every quarter. Can you please go on mute if you're not talking? So every quarter, the companies come and report that this is my profit, this is my expenses, this is how much we spent on R&D and things like that. You can evaluate what's happening with their business. If it is gold and silver, we can evaluate because it is hard asset. You can see it. Here, this is all in thin air. You know, somebody says, yeah, there is shortage and there needs to be more mining done, Bitcoin mining. You have to go by that. I'm not into it. If it goes to 1 million, let it go. Honestly, it will go without me.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that the Gen Z, the new generation, I think that's where a lot of money is flowing.
Yeah, possible.
So what is the next stop for Bitcoin? I mean, is expected to go up, down? Where do you see it?
I'm not a Bitcoin bull. Let me put it that way.
But if you look at the charts, based on the charts, do you see it?
Yeah, based on the chart, as long as it stays above this 48,000 level, it is bullish. But maybe if it comes down here, technically, I would say that is where one can try to get in around 48,000 and look for a bounce into 60,000 for a short time. But other than that, entering here on a bullish side is too risky. And shorting this monster is also risky. Just
I
because
think it is forming a head and shoulder on the daily time frame, I guess. I could double check.
head and shoulders on what?
Yeah, I think it was forming head and shoulder on daily time frame.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. It looks like that, but yeah, it's hard to. I have traded this in the past for small trades. I have taken quick profits, Bitcoin futures, but that was like when it was trading here, I had shorted it for some quick profits. I wish I had held it for longer and I shorted it here, but I didn't expect this bounce, to be honest, from 17,000 level. I was expecting more downside all the way to around 13,000 or something was my target. Here, this stop, it did not reach that. And now it looks like it's never going to come back to that again. But maybe 48,000 is probably the place where one can try to get in again, or this 200 EMA, wherever that occurs. Right.
Is the weekly, I mean, the monthly on the left, is that a cup and handle? And then if so, then the handle comes to 48? Is that?
Yeah, that can happen. happen. Yeah, when you eventually, if it comes to 48,000, it will look like a cup and handle at that point of time, right? A big cup and then a handle, and that is where more money can get into Bitcoin. Okay. Let's get into NQ. I want to look at some smaller time frames now to see what we can do for next week. I'll have daily here and maybe 4-hour chart over here. And the bounce that happened after Fed announcement was this one, right? 3 days ago. So this should be our absolute stop loss on all bullish trades. If it gives up 18,300, which is right around this candle actually. This is the big candle after FOMC's speech, right? If so, the low of this candle is 18,244. So if 18,244, mark down that level on your charts. Let me add a note here. FOMC bounce bull bear line. Okay, so above this it is bullish, below this it is bearish. I generally name it like this and keep it on my chart so that I know I'm not holding on to my short positions forever and long positions forever. You know, you have to be, trading is like, trading on the smaller time frames is like agile project management. You have to be really agile, right? Above certain level, I'm bullish, below certain level, I'm bearish with no bias whatsoever. So trade like a computer once that level is broken. So until it reaches that, now what's the other game plan? Let's see. Actually, I want to see NDX to see whether the gap got filled. I think the gap did not get filled here. There is a small gap that is left. We took a good trade. I don't know how many of you entered QQQ calls. I thought the gap is not going to get filled, and that is when I entered calls, and it worked out well. The reason was, I'll tell you the reason why I took the trade in a minute. So let me zoom into 15 minutes chart. So whenever you see a big gap up open, keep it marked like this on your charts. All right, so remove the drawing. Now I have to write it this way. And let's do that on SPX also. You see here, the gap did not get filled. So the general tendency of every trader is that, oh, we are going to fill the gap. And people will short the hell out of it, and that's when it rallies. So I could see that happening on Friday and entered the call, booked 70% profit. But unfortunately, in the same week, Google did not work out. I exited at around 45% loss. But as long as I can take these kind of trades and make some money, it works out. So Dow Jones, what did it do? Dow Jones filled the gap on that day, right? So you have to watch many charts, not just one chart, to see what is happening in the market. And Dow filling the gap gave me an idea that it's probably a good time to enter calls. And that exactly what happened. It worked out. But towards the end of the day, it came down. That's a different story. But this is where we could capture, this bounce. This was 70% profit in options. And another reason why I entered QQQ call after looking at Dow filling the gap. I mean, you might think, what is this nonsense? You are looking at Dow Jones chart and you're entering calls for QQQ. I will get into other things that happened on Friday. Nvidia was rallying. Right? Look at this move here, Nvidia. And another big chip name in NASDAQ index is Broadcom. Broadcom on Friday rallied from here to here. This is when we took the calls, right? It was a big jump from 1300 to 1376. And if you look at these names, see where what happened to this gap. They are still trading well above the gap, right? Where is the gap here? Way below, right? And look, let's go back to Nvidia to mark any of the gaps. Okay, I don't see anything in Nvidia, but
Apple was also rallying, right, on Friday.
yeah, Apple also, I think it rallied.
I think around around 170 to 172.5 or something, if I recollect.
Correct. So when was FOMC? FOMC was on Wednesday, the 20th, right? This day. And see what Nvidia did. It rallied on the day of FOMC, and this was Thursday, and this was Friday. When NDX filled the gap, how are the chip stocks doing? They are well above the levels that they were on Wednesday, right? On Wednesday, I think it closed at around 903, and by Friday it's at 940. And what did Microsoft do? On Friday, it rallied, right? Microsoft filled the gap. This gave me the confidence. Dow filled the gap. Microsoft will fill the gap. Big cap names are rallying. That is the reason why I took a bet at. It's a calculated risk. Trading is all about calculated. Could I could have gone wrong. That was definitely possible, but you have to be brave sometimes. Go with your conviction that this is the place it's going to rally, right? So let me switch back to NQ now.
So Pradeep, just to understand the gap theory, so the chances of the stocks bouncing back after a gap up open is more when the gap is not filled, is it?
Yeah, that's right. If the gap is holding up, it is bullish. Don't try to trade in a bearish way, hoping that the gap will get filled. Sometimes the gap itself acts as support, and I'll show you that in a bit for SPX. Let's go to, I was looking at, no, maybe not SPX. I think it was
SQ trade you posted, I think that also has a gap, right?
yeah. Let's go to QQQ. Sorry, just a second, Subin.
No worries.
I'll come to SQ. I want to look at QQQ gap in the recent. Maximize this and go to maybe last 1 month and change it to 1 hour, 2 hours. All right. So let me mark this gap, right? How to trade the gaps. So I have taken this bounce, right? Right. And this is where there was a big gap. It started from here, came back down. It did not touch this gap fill area. See how it bounced, because there was a squeeze also developing and it went up. Generally, the tendency is, that is why, you have to get out of the mindset of ever bear and ever bull mindset, because there is money to be made in both ways, right? When it came down here, the very first, although it did not come all the way to this gap, the very first entry here, I would have actually gone bullish, because this would act as support. And what happened for the second test? Again, it acted as support. What happened the third time? Again, it acted as support. This is rare. This is very rare. The third time it could have come all the way down. And what happened the fourth time? Again, it acted as support. And this was on the 19th, a day before FOMC. Right, and it is this big gap is still holding up on this 2-hour chart. If you look at the daily chart, it won't look like a gap, because the daily would start from, it would even consider this level, right? So it wouldn't really look like a gap. But when you're trading same day expiration options, when you're trading futures, you need to keep an eye on these kind of things. And this is how we generally try to post most, at least I try to post most of my trades. And here, QQQ, there was a very small gap. I'm going to extend it there. Right. So this acted as support and it went up. And now it is tough to say where it is going from here. For the next week, let me go back to, this is 2-hour chart. Okay. Let me go to daily over here. Yeah, 30 minutes is good enough here. Sunday night, I wouldn't be surprised if this gap gets filled, because of the way we closed on Friday, right? It was pretty bearish. But if this gap gets filled and we start trading up, 450 is on the cards, right? I would say maybe anywhere above this level, around 446, it turns bullish again, and we can shoot for 450. Otherwise, it's coming all the way down. It might come all the way down and settle at this price, this candle. So currently it is in no man's land, to be honest. I'm in my mind, I'm not bullish, neither am I bearish looking at this. Although the daily squeeze is set to fire long, I didn't like the close on Friday. And this candle did not look good, and this made it look worse the following day. Right? We really need to see a jump up above the body of these two candles to get into bullish trades again. Otherwise, we need to be cautiously bullish because this is still firing long, the daily squeeze. Right, it's the same. NDX and QQQ charts would look the same. And I gave you the level. The bull bear line is 18 to 43. If this gets broken, get out of your long positions. And for this market to fall, it's actually NQ which has to give up. The big cap names, big cap tech names have to really give up. Almost we have spent 1 hour looking at these. Now I want to get into individual stocks. So let's go to Apple. And I'll go to bigger picture. Apple. So as I said in the group earlier, this is one of the most muted response I have seen from Apple, and NQ is just ripping higher every day, non-stop, and Apple has not moved anywhere, right? From last how many months? Almost from August until now, it has actually fallen, while NQ has almost gained 3,000 points. This is very, very rare, at least in my trading memory in US. I don't remember seeing this kind of response. Apple out, outrightly underperforming Nasdaq. So where do we go from here? Let's see. I want to bring in squeeze. Yeah, look at this. This is just falling apart. This weekly squeeze. There is no squeeze. There's no red dot, but the weekly momentum is completely lost, and monthly is still looking good. Nothing to be bullish about this stock at this stage, right? It has some strong support around this 167 to 170 area, but it is really thin ice here. Not much of support left. If that gets broken, it can come all the way down to 146, and I expect that to happen eventually around September. It can break 150. Until then, it is probably going to find some support around this 170 and bounce back higher. As long as it stays above 180, it is still bearish. It's not bullish. And if the market has to rally until August, in my opinion, Apple should move sideways to slightly up, right? Around 172 to 181 is where it can move, is my opinion. I don't think they will allow it to be broken now. This will be broken eventually by September or October, before elections. Microsoft, extremely bullish. It is trading similar to Nasdaq, right? Or even probably outperforming Nasdaq. But it is overextended here, right? It has traded above 408. As long as it stays above 408, it is still bullish. But it can consolidate here, given that it has this stair step, right? It has gone up once, consolidated, gone up again, consolidated. Maybe we can consider this as consolidation. I'm not sure. This looks like consolidation and breakout. Let us see. I'm not overly bullish at this stage. I expect it to move sideways maybe. Let's look at Tesla. So this line is still intact, right? I said it's going to be bearish below this. It's exactly how it's behaving. It has broken this key level 208. Look at how it gapped down. Let me go to daily. That 208. See the magic here. This dotted line I think I have it from last year. I haven't changed this at all. Once how was this line broken? It had to be broken with a gap down. That was the only way, right? Because it was such a big support level and came down again on the way up. I think it came very close to that, came to 205 or so, 206 almost. Then it fell back again. Weekly is bearish, monthly is neutral. In terms of this squeeze alone, it looks neutral. But if you look at this chart, it looks as though even the monthly is getting really bearish here, right? But I think it has a great support around this region now. And I won't be surprised if it starts moving up. And eventually, I think it'll make another move down into 150s. That is maybe around September, August, September. So if NASDAQ has to rally or even move sideways, this name and Tesla and Apple have to participate. It has to move slightly higher or hold sideways. Then only NASDAQ can go higher. Otherwise, we are set for a big fall from here if Apple gives up. Let's look at Amazon. Everything is looking great for this. A big gap up open here, right? And since then, this gap is still open and it looks set to no. Okay, if I look at the monthly, this is almost the top here. It has reached its resistance level here. The easy way to identify that resistance is go to, instead of candles, if you want, you can go to chart mode, chart type. Instead of candle, go to line chart, right? And look at this now. This resistance, it's clearly there, this top, right? And that's where it is currently trading at. It has slightly gone above, and a lot of people who are waiting from this stage, if you remember, this was before this stock split, where people were waiting for $4,000 in Amazon. They were all now happy that it has come back to this level and probably be ready to take some profits, right? So it is hard for it to go above from here unless another great earning results come out. I don't know when is it due? Does anyone remember? Amazon earnings. Let me see.
April 25th.
25th of
April.
25th April. Okay, almost a month from now. So this can come down before that earnings result, and I don't expect this gap to get filled. This gap, let me mark it. I don't expect this to get filled. It's going to come down here to around 170s at the max, around 170s. It can find support again, and I expect it to gap up above this line here, which is around 178, 174 to 178, and go all the way to 188. That it needs another gap up here, similar to how Nvidia did. You need consecutive gap ups after earnings. Where is the gap? I remember seeing it. Yeah, I think it was way back here. I need to go to 2 years chart. Remove all studies. See how this gap is held, right? And with every earnings, it again jumps up. So see here another gap after earnings, right? This is the way I expect in, I mean, not exactly like this kind of madness in Amazon, but at least another gap up above 188 is what can happen eventually. So if you're long Amazon, I think I had alerted it in the group. We bought it around 83 or 85, if I'm not wrong, and I'm still holding it. So we have a great entry in Amazon and also in Google. It's good to hold both of those. Google is also at a similar level. You know, the chart looks almost similar to Amazon. But to push up from here is going to be a Herculean task. There is some good announcement that is needed for it to go up above 160. Overall, if you look at these big cap names, you know, there is no reason to short the market still. There is a long way to go. Some of these stocks is a simple thing is you draw fib levels here, right? It hasn't even hit 120% of the previous highs, right? It can go all the way to 164. Same with Amazon. So if you look at these things, there is still a lot of potential left in the market. Potential S&P can hit almost 5,800 to 6,000 before a meaningful correction in next year. I'm referring to a bigger correction like the way it happened in 2022. That for that kind of correction to happen, there is still a lot of time. So I think some of you texted me and asked, what should I do with my long-term holdings? If you have invested here in the bottom, this is not the time to take profit yet, right? Hold on to it. Hold on much longer. The IWM monthly squeeze has to fire long. So 2025 is probably a good place to start taking some of those profits. Otherwise, you can hold on to your long positions.
Hey, if I want to enter Nvidia, what would be a good level for me to enter?
I think I was waiting for 830. It never hit 830. 830 to 835 is what I had posted in the group, and it came down to 840, I believe.
Yeah.
And what a rally from there, man. I missed it. So on this day, I think I remember it was on March 8th or 10th that was the question was asked. Yeah, it came to 842. I should have bought it earlier. I thought a partial gap would get filled here, not completely. It didn't even come all the way here. There's a big gap here. But I wouldn't suggest buying it here, man. This has gone crazy. Let me go back to candles here. Yeah, look at these monthly candles. It is just crazy. You know, it has gone way above this Bollinger Band. You will get an opportunity one day. I don't know when. It has to come down. I cannot be buying it here. Yeah, no matter how high it goes, it will go without me. Don't chase it. For short-term options, it is okay. If you're playing 1 hour or half an hour chart, it is okay to trade bullish in a bullish way. But if you want to enter stocks, it has to come down a lot. So yeah, maybe around 780. If it comes down to 780, that would be a good position to enter. Any questions?
Hey, Pradeep, one of the things that we were talking about earlier was, on a day trade, right? Either you do NQ or MNQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you look at when you take a short or a long, right?
A lot of things. I think I gave you some of the things, the gap play that I told you about just now, right? You remember the session I took on market internals? I had spoken about tick, advances and declines, VIX. Those things will always be there on my screen whenever I'm trading. That information will not be available for overnight trading session. That's why I generally avoid trading overnight. But if I'm trading overnight, maybe I'll go for MNQs. Very rarely NQs for overnight trading. And yeah, that is all I can say. Market internals, that is the key. And I will always have big cap names on my chart, on my screen, like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia. So always keep an eye on those, especially if you are trading NQ. Okay. Wants me to.
Yeah.
Here?
Whatever.
Sorry, say that again.
Palantir?
Let's look at Oracle. This monthly chart looks awesome. I think their earnings, after earnings, it shot up. This looks great. I think it has a long way to go, especially because it has come out of such a big consolidation. I believe this rally is just getting started. So if you're long, just hold on to it. Don't book profits yet.
Any price target?
Price tag, generally, when the monthly squeeze gets fired, you can shoot for this at least 261%, which is $180.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Pradeep, can we go back on the SQ trade? I was just looking at the chart on the daily.
So one reason why I entered is the weekly looks awesome. right? And it has consolidated here, and it is trading above this 75 level. You see this here for quite a long time, right?
Yeah.
Let me zoom in a bit on this portion. So this level 75.5, I would consider this as a critical level above which it has consolidated for quite a long now, with a big candle. The reason why I have gone for straightforward call is these things can really squeeze up higher in a very short amount of time. So that's the reason why I didn't go for a spread. It can easily hit 93 here as its immediate target.
Got it.
And let's look at the daily. So there was a daily squeeze, but it lasted only for one day now, right? And this move is not looking good, but maybe I think if it closes below 80, I would be concerned, because of these support levels. I would consider this as one of the support levels below 80. And also you see this previous highs, right? So if it closes below, I would be concerned and probably exit, because there is only 3 weeks left in this trade for it to work. And maybe go for something longer. I would probably switch to maybe a May or June expiration. And this 93 level, or yeah, 93, if you look at even on the monthly, that is around 50 EMA, 93.91. All right, that looks like it is feasible. It's not a big ask from here.
Got it. Got it. And it bounced from, I believe it's a 21 EMA, right, on the daily couple
Yeah,
of
it
times.
bounced from here, and this gap is not filled yet, which is giving me confidence that I think the bottom is in, and it's good to go long. That is my game plan. If this expiration doesn't work, I am going to take one more shot at it with a longer expiration.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Yeah, I was just looking at the daily and then a close below the 8 EMA, right? That's what I was thinking, how we should approach now.
Yeah. Okay. Any other stocks you want me to look at?
Palantir?
There's not much of a data on the weekly, on the monthly, right? But on the weekly, this gap is not filled. Sorry, this is daily. All right, let me go to weekly. So this was a pretty bullish candle, and it is still not, it's almost like a consolidation sideways around this. And whenever this happens, what's happening here internally is there are smaller time frame squeezes that are getting built, right? When you come and take a look at the daily, see here, there was a small daily squeeze that got built, and where did it go? It went higher, right? I think we missed this opportunity, but it was a good one, right? From 23 to $27. That's almost 17% jump in the stock. So that kind of move we can anticipate, but here there is another squeeze that is getting built. This time it is not looking very bullish, below 21 EMA, and the squeeze is there. Not a great setup so long, but if it crosses $25, I think it can again, or maybe we can keep this level 25 point. What is the high here? Set an alert for this 25.69 above this, which is, you see here, right? If it crosses this, it can turn pretty bullish, and it can even take out this high. Overall, I'm bullish on this. Not just technically, but fundamentally, I am invested in this.
I'm officially 19 weeks.
Sorry, say it again. Who was it? Okay, W Wayfair, right? Yes, it has good short interest, but that is not a reason to go and trade in a bullish way. The monthly squeeze, it looks like it is getting ready on the bullish side, but if you look at this price action, it is not at all bullish, right? If someone just shows me this part, I would say, yeah, it is bullish now.
Yeah, thank
But-
you.
But if you look at this is almost like a bear flag here. This is a textbook bear flag, in which case the monthly squeeze should fire short and it should go and make a new low as per the monthly. No, I'm not bullish on this.
Thank you.
Let's look at any other chart request.
You look at coin, I know even though coin is tied to BTC, but how is it looking from the charts?
This is an expensive stock. That is the problem, you know. So let's see here. See where it got rejected, 61%, 277 to the dot. And this is a place where a lot of accumulation had happened in the past, and this area, and it's a huge resistance level, and I doubt whether it can easily clear this. Yeah, I think this is done, and probably it is headed lower. I might be inclined to sell a call credit spread or something on this name, because the IV will be so high on this. Let's see even this, where did it go to? Yeah, 305 is still far away. No, I think this is done. Probably at 277 was a good place to sell some bearish call credit spreads. It is going to consolidate, in my opinion, fall further and consolidate here, because this is a big area of resistance. Wow, it moved from 113 to 276. This is crazy. Okay. BA new. Let's take a look at that. BA has been a big disappointment, and you know, the recent death of the whistleblower, that is concerning. You know, when will the whistleblower get murdered? This is really concerning. It's not good for long-term stockholders. I hold the stocks, but not adding more, because this $200 level was a critical support. It broke that, came all the way to 175 here. And if you see here, there was another big support at 176, and that's where it is currently sitting at. In terms of the chart, if you look at the daily, nothing great about it, right? A fall from 270 to 170 is just ridiculous, the way it has fallen, and it deserves that fall. Not at all bullish on the weekly as well. All right, better to stay away. I'm not selling my stocks here, but I'm not going to add more. Just no trade until some of these key things are resolved. Wow, Neo is back to $4. I had not seen this in a long time. Ever since this Chinese aggression started, I exited all Chinese stocks. I had bought Neo, I think in low $1, if I'm not wrong, and sold it well above $15 or $20. I didn't capture this $66 move. I made a good profit here, but morally I felt I should not be invested in Chinese stocks. Got out. I'm surprised to see it's back at $4. I don't know for what reason. I have not been following this, but doesn't look great, guys. If a move from 66 to $5, it doesn't look great when EV market in China, I know, is doing well. BYD, I don't know, is BYD listed? Yeah, I think BYD no, not this. I don't know the ticker for BYD. Chinese company, which is Tesla's competitor now. Neo was supposed to take that place. Neo was supposed to be Tesla's competitor there, but I think they're not doing well. It doesn't look great at all. SoundSnow and Shopify. I remember seeing this even in the last monthly outlook session that we had. Some of these small cap names, it's really hard to trade. They have AI name in the company name for a reason. For this kind of SoundHound AI. This name itself looks tricky to me. It is deceiving to get this kind of stock rallies. Take the money while you can if you are invested and get out. Don't look at it again. Weekly squeeze fired long, and this move does not look good. But these companies might go in a short squeeze and nobody knows how long it can go, right? Take the money if you have it. Don't look at it again. And when some of these short squeezes or the stocks which are heavily shorted, just because it has a lot big short interest doesn't mean it will go up, right? See for how long it remained in this trend. For weeks together it remained in a downtrend, and all of a sudden it started going up. So best thing to do is take the money. Let's look at Snow. Wow, I think this happened after their earnings, this candle. 182 to 159. This is just crazy move from 237. Right. It doesn't look good. I wouldn't be surprised if it makes a new low, because take a look at it this way. When it went public, a lot of hype was built around this company. Right here, it shot up, and a consolidation had happened here, and all those people got a chance to exit when it went and hit this 200-month moving average around 235, and everyone said, thank God I got my money back, and now it's falling. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes and makes a new low, if it breaks 110. With the market rallying, if these things cannot come back to life, I don't know what else can bring it back to life, right? So you might say SQ is also looking somewhat similar, but in SQ, it is still trading somewhere around this range. I'm shooting for a move into 200 weekly moving average. That is the kind of trade you can still take. So in snow, that kind of trade has already happened, right? So the weekly fired long, went well above 200 EMA, and now it's coming back. See where it is sitting dangerously close to this 61% at around 158. It has a temporary support here, but if it gets broken convincingly, this 158 level, take my word, it's going to break 110. So that's your stop loss. Keep an eye on that. 158 to 159 levels. Mark it on your chart. Okay, Shopify. Let's look at that. I'm still bullish on Shopify. I have the stocks. And this is probably the only blue chip company in Canada. And the weekly is still looking good. Weekly chart. It has held this 21 EMA support around 75. I would be concerned if $70 level breaks, this previous top. Until then, there's nothing to worry about. I have had a good entry around 40s, I believe, in Shopify. So I'm going to hold it. No change in long-term outlook. But
Where do you see the next 3-6 months based on the charts?
yeah, so I think it can come down. It can consolidate here. So this maybe around $68 level, it can come down to and consolidate from the 78 to 68. Yeah, that lines up with this 200-day moving average, right? If NASDAQ remains bullish, I expect this level itself to hold around above 77. Right. And I don't know what happened in this earnings report. 91 to 76. That's a big drop. Right. Almost 25-30% drop. That is not good. I need to go back and see what they announced in the results. Was their guidance bad? Anyone knows what happened in the earnings report? Anyway, long story short, I'm holding the stock, and my target is 100 and this line, This is my target. Above 100. So if you have 100 stocks, keep selling covered calls above 100. And if it gets called away, be happy with it. If you are not long the stocks, maybe it's good to buy around the $68 level. Let's go to Meta. Wow, this is overextended. I mean, this move has been just crazy. All the way from 86 to 523. This is just crazy. If you are holding the stocks, good for you. I have some stocks and I'm not planning to sell. It's a cash cow. They're making a lot of money. So just go with the flow. No need to panic and sell. And I will probably add if it fills this gap, I will add it, but I don't expect this gap to fill until maybe August or September. I think it's on its way to 567, but in the immediate short term, I don't expect it to hit 567 because it's overextended. I think it's going to consolidate here in this range is my feeling. From 500 to 460 levels, it will consolidate. We looked at Amazon already. Shopify we looked at. Okay, Roblox we did not. Let's look at Roblox and finish it. Not a great chart if you look at it on the monthly chart, but I know a lot of kids are hooked onto this Roblox. It has filled this gap below 200 EMA. I think it is a good buy in my opinion. Let's see from its recent high to low. If I draw a fib, where does it go to? Right here. Right around 50% mark is where it bounced off from. So yeah, I would consider this as a good buy below $30 just because not because of charts, but because I know a lot of people are hooked onto this Roblox thing. So it is a good buy. I know Nick has some stocks. I have some in my kids account. I generally like buying some of the things that kids are familiar with so that they can easily relate to. So I buy Roblox, and if they see some car on the road, maybe you can buy those things, whatever they recognize, they're familiar with, right? Keep buying it in their accounts, and I have some in my kids account. It's not a big position. If it doesn't work out, I will not be bothered because the monthly is not looking great, right? It is in a downtrend, clear downtrend, and it can easily go and make a new low. That is definitely possible looking at the monthly chart. So I am okay buying some around 30s. All right, I think we finished all the things. Thank you guys. Thanks for the time. Let's take it by the day. I'm not overly bullish at this stage when the markets are overextended, and at the same time not bearish at all. Just because it's up doesn't mean we need to go on short. I'm expecting seasonality wise, election years, we see a dip just before elections. So that is what I have in my mind to trade the chop from now until August or September, or maybe August, not September. And I expect market to start correcting in summer. Okay, so that is my overall outlook. So let's take it by the day and go with it. Thank you. Have
Pradeep,
a-
just last question on NDX. Some of the bear credit spreads you used to do on calls a while ago.
Mhm.
What was your general kind of mindset with it? Was it like just based on the afternoon that you're assuming that it won't go up 1% more, or I remember you saying something a few years ago on how you used to trade NDX. I want to kind of go back to that even for personal reasons because it's interesting the way NDX moves.
It is, sometimes if you catch the moves in NDX, it is awesome. And I am trading directionally nowadays more because it is just because of the way it moved, right? So that is why I want to trade directionally. But once it stops chopping around, I think it is probably a good time for looking at iron condors and selling call credit spreads and bear credit spreads, or trying to make it an iron condor. I would like to go back to that as well, depending on the market situation. So the general mindset is, I gave you this idea, right? So if you look at this gap, on a first visit of this, I would sell a bullish put credit spread here,
Mhm.
hoping that it will not break 17,790. Right, and you just gain the decay, theta decay for that day. And on the second visit also it is safe, but on the third visit it is dangerous. It can easily come down. So that is my general mentality when I'm selling credit spreads. And similarly, it works the reverse way on bearish credit spreads. Right, the first visit near a key level like this 127%, it is safe to assume that it's not going to blow through this in one shot. All right, so it's okay to go and sell a call credit spread at 18,475.
Mhm.
And look, if you had done that, it will work for a couple of days, right? You gain the theta decay. That's the overall mindset when I do those trades.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend. Or the weekend is almost done. Have a good evening. Hope to see
Happy
you.
Holi.
Happy Holi, guys.
Happy
Thanks.
Holi. Thank you.